Okay, so I guess we can get started then.
Okay.
We're at 6:02. I'd like to call the meeting to order. First, I guess we'll take call the roll, the members. Um, Barry Bergman, present.
Bill Moon, present. Mark Kyle, present.
And so we have and I know we have Ann Coyne, our alternate online. So we have a quorum. Next agenda item is to approve the minutes of the October 4th meeting. Do you have any comments or a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Vote to approve. Okay, these meetings are very efficient. We have the minimal number. Minutes have been approved. Special presentations, none. Other agenda items. I guess next we have the presentation from Lindsay Lara about meeting processes and parliamentary procedures.
Good evening, committee members.
Good
Tonight-
evening.
Good evening. Tonight, I'm just going to talk briefly about parliamentary procedure, which is essentially just meeting process, how the public engages with the committee and how the committee engages with the community, and the right kind of order of operation for how that all goes. I know that you'll be appointing a chair and vice chair this evening. So we do have just want to say before I start, we have our rules and procedures document that was adopted by the city council. It does provide some direction on making sure how the meeting should operate, and as well as the attachments included the Rosenberg's Rules of Order, which is essentially Robert's Rules of Order, but Robert's Rules is for really huge groups, and it's not very digestible when you're talking to a group of 5 or 7 members. So it's a little bit easier to read, just 10 pages, not a whole book. So I'm just going to briefly kind of go over what the process is, and you're familiar, you've been doing it, but when staff is bringing an agenda item to the committee, they'll give a staff presentation. The chair will call staff up, just like it just happened with me. The presentation will be given, and after that, there's an opportunity for committee members to ask questions of staff. At that point, staff will respond to any questions that are posed, and if there's no more questions being posed to staff, then you can invite public comment to provide comments, ask questions of staff, provide comments on the agenda item. And the reason that we're not doing deliberations yet, and it's only questions and answers, and I really want to just drive this part home, is that the decision or your opinion shouldn't be completely made until public testimony has been heard. The entire purpose of the Brown Act, while not efficient, is to make sure that the community is able to engage and participate in decisions before they're made by any body, any legislative body, which BPAC is a legislative body and appointed by the city council. So once public comment has been received, staff will answer any questions that are posed. Typically, it's the chair's responsibility to indicate which questions to answer. Staff will respond to those questions. And at that point, the chair will typically call out each individual member of the committee to provide their comments. And that's the comments based on the staff report, based on staff's presentation, based on all of the community's input, and altogether why they're making that opinion or that judgment call. Or that decision. And at that point, then there will be a motion that's made, a second, and a roll call vote. And it's always important to call out what the vote total is. So tonight it would be 3-0. If Ann was here, it would be 4-0, and so on. So the main reason for that, again, I'm just going to highlight and bring that home, is that it's all about community participation. This is a community meeting, it's a public meeting. None of that would be required if this was an ad hoc meeting that wasn't publicly noticed and being streamed. But whenever any member is appointed by the city council, it becomes a legislative body, and we're required to follow the Brown Act. And then in turn, we follow Rosenberg's rules, which is similar to Robert's rules, just parliamentary procedure. And then Santa Fe has the way that we've been doing it traditionally over many, many, many years, which is the way that you've been operating now. So I'm happy to answer any questions. There's no question that is silly. They're all important, and especially if the community has any questions as well, just to try to get just a little bit more understanding of why it might seem a little bit stuffy at times that we do it this way. It's not intentionally stuffy, but it is in order to be able to maintain order in the meetings and make sure that there's not discussions back and forth between community and members when it's not public comment. And even when public comment is open, we don't want to be getting into conversations with the community necessarily. It's just not the appropriate time in a public meeting.
Okay,
Chair. Point of order.
Yeah.
I've been to many large gatherings that have used Robert's Rules of Orders. I'll look up Rosenberg's. That's my first takeaway from your presentation. So when you say public input, I'm assuming that you're using that in the broadest sense of the word, not just folks who show up and might give public comment during the meeting, but people who've taken the time to submit comment via email, text, smoke signal, whatever it might be, letters to the mayor that have been forwarded to us. All of that in its totality.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up. I'm not, some of that's going to go into Brown Act and then also public records. So if any correspondence is received, we take that at the council level and all of our boards and commissions. All board members should be reading all of that correspondence received. It's the same public comments as if they were able to come in person. Not everyone can come here at 6 o'clock on, a Wednesday night. So whether it's childcare, whatever they have going on that they're not able to make it, their voice is still important. And if they're taking the time out to submit correspondence, a lot of times, a member of the city council, for example, which is kind of the poster child for parliamentary procedure because it's smoothly operating. They'll call that out and they'll say, we've received a lot of correspondence on this item, or even when a member comes up and speaks because they submitted correspondence and they came, and maybe they used all of their 2 minutes. They'll say, we did read your correspondence. We want you to know that. And it's good for staff to know that correspondence is being read by members because I feel confident saying to the public, please submit correspondence. I know our council is reading all of that because they're constantly commenting on the correspondence that was received prior to the meeting.
Thank you.
Would you like us to comment on that correspondence? For example, we got 28 letters from Sustainable San Rafael for tonight's meeting, and then one right before the meeting from somebody else. Should we just like acknowledge that these comments were received?
Yeah, I think it's
and
useful. I think that it's useful. And
Mhm.
also staff typically in their presentations will include the fact that there was correspondence received. I know that I do when I'm presenting. And then in your deliberations, in your comments section, you can say, I did read. I think
Sure.
I received 15 emails. I read every one of those emails. And we took those seriously.
Second question for our series through the last thing was whatever we do as a committee, the motion we do as a committee. For most of the things on the agenda, if you were to look at it tonight, most of it, our recommended action is to just receive and comment.
Yeah.
So should we make a motion that we will receive to this presentation and comment, or do we just move on to the next thing?
Yeah, so it's similar. It's not receiving comment. We have receive and file. It's just that we're receiving it. A lot of those are proclamations on our consent calendar. We'll still, if it was pulled, there would still be a motion to receive and file that document. If it's a special presentation, sometimes there's no recommended action, and that's fine to have no recommended action, no motion. But if it's on the agenda that there is a recommended action, there should be a motion and a second to accept and take that action.
So like, if you were to look today on
Yeah.
ABCD, the recommendation is to receive comments. We should just have a motion to close out every.
Yeah, I think that recommended action, I think would make the most sense if it was receive and file would be the easiest because
Okay.
you'd be receiving that and filing that into the record, which would be the minute order.
Thank you.
I just have a question. As far as members of the public who are in person versus those online, how are those being treated? Is this an official? And there's been a little bit of back and forth about how that goes now that we switched into a hybrid format.
Yeah, well, it's a little bit interesting too, because I believe BPAC currently is the only committee that we have that's taking public comment virtually. So I'm gonna go bring it back a couple months to when city council was also doing that virtually to answer that question. So we would take all public comment from those in the room first, close public comment in the room, and then we open public comment virtually. And then they'd have the same time limit, same requirements, and then we would close that, the virtual public commenting as well.
Great, thank you. Okay. I guess that's already comment. Exactly. Yeah, do you have any public comments? That was it.
Room first.
The members of the public who wish to comment on this? Is there anyone online? Oh, we have one, sorry. Didn't see you.
Just from feedback from somebody that I know is listening in, just make sure you're speaking as close to the mic as possible. They like if your computer's, if the mic is behind your computer, they're not gonna hear you that well. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have more mics than we've had before?
Yeah.
It's a lot of mics.
Do we have any comments from anyone online? We have one. I'm gonna call you Randall Pike.
Hey, sorry, I was having some headset issues and I was muted for the last little bit. I didn't hear the last bit of the conversation. I did get a little bit earlier, and you guys were talking about the public comment. Is that the current topic we're on, or is this near the end of the meeting? Because I don't personally think that you guys should limit remote public comment for people, mainly because myself, I'm disabled. So I have a difficult time getting around, especially with city council meetings at this time. I don't always have a ride available. So if I am able to participate via a call-in or a Zoom meeting like right now, it makes it very easy for somebody like myself who's mobility limited to be able to get in and do my civic duty and participate publicly. Assuming that's what we were just talking about. Like I said, I couldn't hear anything for a little bit. I was having headset issues. If you guys don't mind just responding to that, if that's no problem.
Sure.
I'm not sure. I thought that that's what this is for. So I'm not sure what else you're asking for.
No, my headset cut off. I couldn't hear what you guys were talking about. I was having technical issues. I'm just,
Right.
my comment is just getting clarification to make sure I'm on topic and that I'm at the right point in the meeting. That's all. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Next person, Travis Rockwell.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, I just wanted to, thanks for taking my hand raise. Yeah, you've referred to the Rosenberg's rules that you were abiding by, and you've been discussing public engagement and how to receive and file comments and how people are treated based on whether they show up in person or whether they comment online. And I think that's discrimination. And you're closing the public comment period and then reopening it with different sets of rules. And I think there are arbitrary and capricious rules that, frankly, I think you're in violation of some statutes and some laws, even your own municipal code. And I was just and regarding the Rosenberg rules, you know, I saw Rosenberg crawl out of a sewer recently after he was molesting children. And I think you need to revisit that Rosenberg rule there, if you know what I mean. Thank
Well,
you.
This is
Right.
why.
Okay.
People don't have better things to do.
If you need permission to speak.
Yeah.
I'm saying Randall fine if you need permission to speak.
Next person, Henry.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, I was I was coming back from a bike ride today near Anderson and Drive in Sir Francis Drake, and was almost nearly killed from a truck because that intersection is such a mess. I wish, there was some sort of roundabout at that intersection and maybe some rumble strips and speed bumps, maybe some flashing lights telling people to yield. Moreover, going down Anderson Drive from Sir Francis Drake, more near-death opportunities. There's almost a 6 foot wide bike lane there, but it's just paint on the ground. If you guys got a K71 or K91 plastic bollard, mounted those in the ground every 10 feet, all the way from Anderson, from Sir Francis Drake all the way to 2nd Street, you'd be saving lives and getting potentially hundreds more people out of their cars. You know, as it currently stands on Anderson Drive, the bike lane is to the left of the parked cars, and it could be easily reconfigured where the bike lane is to the right of the parked cars. So the bike lane would be curb adjacent, and there would be bollards protecting the bike lane in between the curb adjacent bike lane and the parked cars. Doing that overnight, you'd have a guaranteed protected bike lane from Bellin Boulevard all the way to Sir Francis Drake. And also, you know, near that Marin Square, that shopping center, you know, the Mi Familia Taqueria. Once you get out of that, near that highway underpass is extremely harrowing. I see people walking in the gutter there,
No, I don't mean
run over. There needs to be a K-rail, a Jersey barrier, concrete barrier under that highway overpass, and LED lights installed. It's you're just waiting for a tragedy to happen. So
There, maybe remind people they're commenting on just that.
Yeah, correct. So, just a, reminder to people that we're commenting on the specific agenda item dealing with the rules and procedures. There's another point later on the agenda to comment on items that are not on the agenda. Also, given that we have a number of people, we have a pretty large group online, we have a number of people, we're going to be limiting comment to 2 minutes. So, we'll let you know when that's coming up, and we'll ask you to please respect that.
Before, can we take a brief recess, Chair?
Okay.
Yep.
Can you
Just say you're gonna have brief
Okay.
recess and then we're gonna mute,
We're gonna take a brief recess for a couple of minutes. We're sorry, we'll be right back.
and you can stop the recording. In a second.
Okay, complete our recess, just like a motion to continue
so
the
moved.
meeting
Second that motion.
and all unanimously approved.
Perfect. And so just for everyone listening again at home or who's been attending the meeting in person, thank you for coming. This meeting will be continued for the vote that just took place, and it'll be agendized at an upcoming on our public meetings page and posted